Eric McDonald. There we go. We got him. All right. So tell us a little bit about Storage Solutions. What do you guys do?
Yeah, we're an intralogistics integrator, so we supply any equipment you would find in a warehouse or a distribution center, fulfillment center.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. And obviously tons of equipment within those warehouses, right? And obviously tons of equipment around here at the show as well. So tell us a little bit about, I'm curious from the perspective of someone that has a warehouse or is an operator, why would you utilize an integrator to bring some of that equipment in?
Sure. A lot of companies like to use integrators because you can get the best solution of every type from one source.
Yeah.
So it may be that a facility has racking, shelving, mezzanines, plus conveyor, robots, other automation.
Yeah.
And an integrator can provide all of those and provide the best in class from each category of products.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of customers prefer to work with integrators.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's such an important point because as we look at a lot of these technologies that are evolving, and it's not, obviously some of the big guys out there. I mean, they have their own, robotics teams, or they have their own industrial engineers and things like that. But when we look at the small to medium-sized mid-market businesses, they don't necessarily have teams like that to be able to develop that expertise and come out and know everything that's going on in the industry or even understand it necessarily from a technical aspect. So I'm curious, at what point would you, as a customer or a potential customer, right, what point would you suggest is the right time to engage that integrator to help you kind of get to that next level?
Yeah, from our perspective, the earlier we can get engaged with the customer, the better. And besides the equipment that we provide, we also provide a lot of service. So we have a solutions engineering group, for example, and can complete a greenfield design project for a customer.
Okay.
All the way from empty box to filling it up and helping them get up and running. So
yeah.
From our perspective, the sooner the better. We have the capability to help a customer determine what the best layout is, what the best solutions are for their unique operation. All services that we provide in addition to the equipment we sell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the services side is so important too as well. It's one thing to get the equipment, but then have that kind of total encompassing package and approach to be able to accomplish those things and fully understand what you're doing, I think is such a key thing. So as you talk to some of your customers or potential customers here at the show, obviously there's tons of options to choose from here, right? But what are people kind of focused on? What are you hearing a lot from your customers, that the type of solutions that they're really looking for right now?
Yeah, it's almost unanimous across our customer base, regardless of the business size. The labor challenges are top of mind. Yeah. And so lots of customers are looking at automation for that reason, to help minimize their dependency in the operation on labor. And so a lot of times too, those customers are looking for kind of a roadmap, because most customers don't want to go drop $200 million to build a really highly automated facility from scratch. So a lot of times they're coming to us saying, hey, what do we do now? And then here's our projected business levels over the next 10 years, and help us kind of lay out this roadmap and set the facility up now, so that as our business continues to evolve and grow, we can add automation in the future and do it easily without a bunch of disruption.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important too. Like, it's a great point there, is how do you think into the future, which sometimes is hard to see sometimes, right? But how do you start to think about that? And like you said, set the building up now for what you think is needed in 5-10 years down the road. But I mean, how do you think about that, and how do you kind of avoid maybe having to do a lot of rework on solutions, whether it's racking or automation solution or something like that, as you continue to evolve and expand as a business?
Yeah, we try to provide as many flexible, scalable solutions as we can. And a lot of times we're going to design a facility initially for 2 or 3 years out, but with an idea that if growth continues, when you get beyond that window, there's going to be a need for additional automation to come into that facility. So flexible, scalable solutions that are easy to modify and expand is a big part of our approach when there's a customer looking for that type of thing.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, I think that flexibility is such a key too, and I think we see more and more solution providers recognizing that and trying to make their solutions more flexible or as flexible as possible. I mean, as we continue to see that, and you mentioned some greenfield designs there as well, but I think there's a lot of discussion in the industry where people are trying to, get the most out of their existing buildings because, I mean, prices of real estate are they're not going down, right? They're still increasing. So, I mean, how are you working with some customers to be able to ensure that, they can maybe squeeze more life out of the building they already have versus going and trying to find a whole new building or building out a whole new structure?
Yeah, it's another common request and customer challenge that we're running into now is customers looking to be more efficient and dense in their storage, but also more efficient in being able to pick and pack and ship orders out.
Right.
So, it's a common challenge. It's every customer's operation is unique. So exactly how we would go about that is going to be broad and various depending on that customer's unique set of circumstances.
Yeah.
But certainly something we're seeing a lot of in the industry today.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's such an interesting thing because we see I'm in New Jersey and where I live is just an explosion of warehouse development. But like I said, the prices are not changing, not going lower. It's not like we're getting more, so the price is going down, right? Kind of going against the old supply and demand there a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to see, and some of the solutions that are coming out to be able to address that as well. I mean, are you seeing, I guess in that sense, are you seeing any uptick in interest around like a ASRS type of solution?
Certainly, and the other thing that we're seeing a lot of is customers looking for a version of those solutions that's not quite the monument, if you will, of a traditional ASRS.
Right,
so maybe ASRS
it's pretty involved. Yeah.
Robotics, picking goods-to-person picking solution instead of a traditional ASRS crane-based system like a lot of people think about.
Yeah.
Just, again, to provide that flexibility and scalability into the future that customers are looking for today.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's so interesting because it is, and we were talking about flexibility, but I mean some of the ASRS solutions. I mean it is a long-term commitment, right? For sure, because you're doing all the structure and infrastructure and things like that. So I mean, as we look at the technologies that are out there and maybe some of the stuff that you've seen here on the floor, what do you think is kind of really next for our industry, or where do you think the next big kind of focus area or technology that's going to get the most attention is going to be at?
I think in general it's going to be around picking solutions of different varieties, and almost any operation, that's where their biggest labor requirement is in the order picking part of the operation. And so, that is where most people look to first to try and automate. There's lots of different varieties of picking solutions out there. In general, customers are looking for goods-to-person type solutions versus solutions that require a lot of walking because, again, you're reducing the labor requirements when you do that. So, in general, I would say that would be my what I would expect to see us continue to see more development in.
Interesting, yeah, and I mean, I think it is, that's such the focus of the labor, and it's usually where you have a lot of your labor, especially if you're doing e-commerce type of business and things of that nature. I mean, I'm curious, what do you think about seeing some of the stuff like, because I think some things that we see here too, and I'm wondering if maybe you kind of vet some of these things for your customers. Some of the things we see are like really cool, right? Like we have the humanoid robot, and we have some of these container truck unloading type of solutions too. But how do you go through like these new, maybe we'll call them like cutting edge, I guess, technologies that are coming into the space? I mean, how do you go through and vet those for your customers to say like, okay, like this is something that, yes, we can definitely recommend and go through, or it's something that's it's not quite proven yet?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of new tech come to market the last several years.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
a
just
lot
look
of
around here. I mean,
right,
it's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it has been companies bringing a tech to market and then trying to figure out after the fact how it's going to be applied in a distribution center or fulfillment center. And the companies, from our perspective, that we're most interested in partnering in are the ones who have some sort of distribution and fulfillment operations background and understand specifically from an application standpoint how their solution is going to be used and how it's going to benefit those end user customers.
Yeah.
So it's from our perspective, a lot of it is understanding clearly what's the application for this solution and how are we going to deploy it and how are our customers going to benefit. And there's a lot of tech out there right now where honestly you can't do that.
Right.
So,
I think it's an interesting thing because you do see it coming in, and it is kind of like is there a fit, or is it really gonna keep up and be able to get the production you want? So it's great that you guys are taking a look at that and looking to see that, because I think that really helps the customer too as well. So very interesting stuff with you here, Eric, and I appreciate you coming by and talking to me in the booth. It's always good to hear from someone that is kind of looking at all the things in the industry to be able to be most beneficial to their customers. So really appreciate the insights. If people are interested in learning more about storage solutions or getting connected to you guys, what's the best way to do that?
Best way would be to go to our website at storage-solutions.com. And that's the best way to find us.
All right, perfect. So definitely check that out, storage-solutions.com, and reach out to Eric, and he'll tell you what's up, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Eric, I appreciate you coming by the booth and talking to me today.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, have a good rest of the show. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, the New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.